call to the member for Sturt.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. Under the default market offer, energy prices are to rise by $485 on an average bill in South Australia. Why did the Prime Minister break his promise that energy prices would fall by $275? Why do Australian families always pay more under Labor?
Call to the Minister for Climate Change and Energy. Order.
Well, thanks very much, Mr Speaker. I thank the honourable member for his question. I particularly thank him as a South Australian member, because our intervention last December had an impact right across the national energy market, but it had its biggest impact in the honourable member's home state, Mr Speaker. The honourable member voted against.
Member for Herbert.
Voted against energy price relief because
the member for Deakin will cease interjecting.
I would like him to explain to his constituents that our intervention has seen forward prices in South Australia come down 48%, which is the biggest of any state, Mr Speaker, in the Commonwealth. And in fact, Mr Speaker, analysis from my department indicates that energy prices in South Australia and SAPN would have been $530 higher. $530 higher if it wasn't for the government's intervention. So that's what the honourable member opposite voted for, Mr Speaker. That's what the honourable member voted.
Members on my left.
$530 is what the honourable member opposite voted for. And as the Prime Minister indicated earlier, this is the default market offer. And the reason honourable members can debate this is because it's public, Mr Speaker. It's an essential starting point for this debate at question time, is that it's public for all to see. And under this government it always will be public. Under those opposite we're not quite so sure, because they have a track record. The member for Hume signed a regulation to keep the last DMO secret until after the election. The most cynical act this House has seen in a long time. The most cynical, empathetic act. But it gets worse. I say this about the honourable member for Hume.
The Minister will resume his seat. I'll hear from the Manager of Opposition.
Well, Mr Speaker, on relevance, the minister was trespassing well outside the terms of his question. If he doesn't have a clear answer on why energy prices aren't falling as they promised, he should sit down.
I'm just going to ask the minister to return to the question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The honourable member asked me about default market offer and energy prices, Mr Speaker, and I'm more than happy to talk about default market offers, because not only did the former minister keep it secret, it gets worse. He was asked, after he kept the last DMO secret, he was asked on the 29th of April last year on the Deb Knight radio show about rising power prices, which he knew about at that point, but he had not disclosed to the Australian people. He said, there's fake news in what's being said about this, Mr Speaker. He called energy price rises fake news. He kept them secret, and then he misled the Australian people and denied that they were happening. That's what the former minister did. And the former minister and all his colleagues, especially those from South Australia, voted for energy price rises that would have been $530 higher if it wasn't for this government's intervention. This government acting on the circumstances in which we found those price rises occurring, making them public, making them transparent, Mr Speaker, and dealing with them. Honourable members opposite prefer to keep them secret, to hide them, and not to disclose them to the Australian people, and then when faced with a choice, faced with a vote, to vote for higher price rises.